Hey everyone, welcome to this brand new episode of Phenoms. In today's episode, we're very lucky to have Weimo Liu. He's currently the founder of PuppyGraph and the recently raised a beautiful $5 million seed round, which is amazing. So definitely stay until the end of the episode because you're going to have tons of golden knowledge in this one. How are you doing today, Weimo?
I'm pretty good. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for jumping on the pod. Super appreciated to have you here. So, before we dive into the story, can you tell the viewers what does PuppyGraph do?
What we're doing is that we build a GraphQL engine on your existing data. For example, if your data already in database, data warehouse, or data lake, MySQL, Postgres, Databricks, Iceberg, Hive, and we can query your modeling your data as a graph and then query your data as a graph without moving the data, which is the biggest advantage of our product.
Yeah, and that's huge because most databases right now are coded with the database that you just mentioned. Postgre, MySQL, MariaDB. Those are very popular structures, but for the common folk, it's difficult to kind of ask the database what's going on, in a very visual way. So it's amazing to have a product like yours on the market. And could you also tell us, like, how did you actually start the journey? Where did you even have the idea? Because, there's a lot of visual tools that exist. So how did you want to differentiate yourself in the market?
Oh, it's a long story. Since my first job after I got my PhD is a graph database startup called TigerGraph.
Okay.
I worked there for almost 3 years, and I joined with a closing Series A. And
Oh,
we
wow.
talk with a lot of customers, and everybody is interesting in graph technology, but
Mm.
only a few of them in production. Finally, most of them just start meeting and try something, and but finally goes nowhere. And
Oh, okay.
at that time, I think there must be something wrong, especially for most of our customers, the big banks, and barely tech companies using our product. And I think there must be something wrong, but I cannot figure it out. So I joined Google because
Oh, wow.
I thought it was a safe choice at that time. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I work at the SQL Query Engine team. Uh, it's a unified SQL Query Engine can query almost all the data source and data format inside Google, and
Wow.
without moving the data. So I think this is pretty amazing, and is very popular inside Google. There are more than billions query per day, and I think this may be a better design if we can have if a graph can follow this design, it will be much better. And because a lot of people want graph to do data analytic rather than the database workload like CRUD transactional updates. And
Yeah, and,
then
and for just curious there, for those that don't know what graph is, could you just, in a very basic explanation, kind of tell us how graph actually works?
I think the popular concept in graph theory, which is that we define everything in the real world as nodes and edges. And for example, Mark, you know me, and you are type node. You are we define a type of node called person, and you are one node, and I'm another, and between us there is an edge. So
Oh,
we know that everybody know that we know each other, and after that, we can have more nodes and more edges, and after that, you can have a social network represented by a graph. So this
mm.
is how we define a graph. And after that, graph database is to database to store this graph and updates the nodes and the edge and also attributes on it with high QPS and also with transactional features like ACID. And then people can query the graph like how many friend Mark has, and also like when you have some other type nodes like company and also home address, and then you can have different information, and
Mm.
even have some more complex relations. Like for example, uh, if two people have the same home address, and then we can guess whether he's in same family or not. And also there are some other insight like who share some credit cards and who work at the same company. In this case, all the nodes are connected with different type of edges, and then you can query with the graph query language, which is different than SQL. It's much easier to express the complex relations. But honestly, if the data is simple, for example, if you only have one or two tables or three, four tables, the advantage is not big. But only when the data is complicated and you need to write a lot of drawings and it's slow and complicated. In this case, graph can make it much easier.
Hmm. Interesting. So it's more a query tool than actually a database schema language, right?
Yes, for PuppyGraph, we just give up the storage layer and take other database or data warehouse or data lake as our storage layer. And then keep the query tool, query language, and at the same time, we have we can have a big compute cluster. In this case, if the query is more complicated, you can scale out to have more machine to do the computation. Yeah.
Interesting. And talking about scaling, like how do you actually scale this type of structure? Is it, for example, via cloud computing, like an Amazon storage, or do you need to purchase extra servers? For the developers that are interested potentially in using Puppy Graph, like would it be easy to scale, for example?
Yes, we leverage the EKS, which is the Kubernetes in AWS, and
Ah, nice.
also we can put all the data on S3, and then you can start a EC2 machine with Amazon Machine Image, which is so-called AMI, and then after
Ooh.
that you can start with a PuppyGraph, connect to your S3, which is object storage, and then run the query. And the
Ah.
EKS will manage the cluster of PuppyGraph, and then you can scale in and scale out to have when you have a heavier workload, you can scale out. When you have a lighter workload, you can scale in. Yeah, and
Oh,
also
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
and also for Google Cloud Marketplace, we have something similar on AWS. Since they also have a Oracle storage layer and the compute node. So we follow the similar architecture for the GCP user.
Oh, no, that's actually amazing. And I guess that eventually, when you were at Google, and you actually started spotting the signals in the market that this extra segment exists, did you encounter like crazy challenges from, for example, fellow coworkers that told you like, no, don't go in there. The market is very crowded. Like, did you have any resistance trying to get in?
Oh, this is one reason is that since the graph database guy community and the SQL database community have a very small overlap. For the SQL database world is have a uh, very optimistic progress. Like for example, Snowflake is one of the
Yeah.
very famous products. Is a data warehouse and also support SQL, and also like some other data lake. At the beginning is Hive, and latterly is Iceberg, Hoodie, and Delta Lake. And we see this opportunity, but it's kind of because I work at the graph world and the SQL world for my two previous job. And this graph guy don't care about what progress of a SQL world. SQL guy don't care about what the progress of the graph world.
Yeah.
So I kind of merge these two. And so the data can be modeled in a graph, but still store as the tables in maybe data lake, maybe data warehouse.
And before even launching into the space, did you feel like you were taking a big risk? Uh, did you actually like believe in the idea, or did you have like doubts from the get-go before even building, the software that you're currently scaling?
I was pretty confident about the idea from the beginning, and I convinced my friends since they also think, oh, this is make a lot of sense since there is no anyone else is doing the similar thing, and at the same
Mhm.
time we believe it's pretty useful. And while
Nice.
it's from my previous experience when I was at Telegraph, and also uh, my friends work at a bit different big company also they met some problem can be solved by this. So we quit the job and start this project together. But
Wow.
the
I
problem is
have a
that still
question
some
here.
yeah.
So you said you actually quit your jobs to start this. How difficult was this decision? Because I'm sure you had friends, family, maybe, telling you like, are you sure you're gonna quit a stable job, at big names to go ahead and just do something on your own? Like how I guess resistant was your entourage to you making that decision?
It's not very hard since at that time one tech lead at Coinbase talked with me. If we can have this technology, they will definitely use it. And
Ah, wow, that is so important. Oh my God.
yeah,
Beautiful
yeah.
signal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good signal, and also, uh, since I'm pretty familiar with the product on the market, and I show how graph database design to my friends, and they also believe that graph database is not good for graph analytic workload, and we can partner with everyone, but not competing with everyone. So it's a kind of
Mhm.
a very good position, and we can bring some traffic from our partners rather than uh, compete with some products side by side. Yeah, so they also have confidence we can be dominant in a small area, a small space that no one is doing it at all. But after we start the company is actually a little bit harder than we expected since at the beginning we thought if we can reproduce the Coinbase story for some fintech company, but usually fintech company is not that willing to adopt the super new technology since
Yeah.
yeah they need to be careful about the money and
Yeah,
that
and not only the money, but the compliance of the financial data. They have all of these regulations bringing down their necks and compliance, like KYC and all that. It's a lot. So it's hard to just give data to a brand new player in the market. Like, hey, here's our database. Let's have fun with it. That's a little bit, iffy for those big names. So how did you like break the barrier of trust to finally get into their the data lakes and all that?
Yeah, I think there are several steps, and why that after we talk with a lot of customer, we just gave up host the customer's data and just make it uh, on-premise deployment in our customer environment. Maybe cloud, maybe in their data center, but we won't have access to their data at all. We even don't have access to their logs. And
So
this
wow,
is
so this means they do everything on premise with your tech. So that way they don't even need to trust you with the data. They just install your software on premise and they can run it with licenses.
yeah, yeah, this makes them very happy.
Uh, yeah.
Sometimes our customer hear the news, will have a release, something like that. And another is that we have more and more big logo. And since because if we are they believe that we already have some experience with some other big company, and we are more qualified to be in some other big companies. And also, at very beginning, some of them believe it's too good to be true, since they don't need to move the data and one single copy. They don't need to prepare another copy of the data, but the performance and scalability is much better than the current solution. They feel, oh, this is usually you need to pay more for better performance and scalability, or you need to make things complex to have better performance and uh,
But it
better
wasn't the
performance.
case. You made it simple and you made it super cheap.
Yeah, and also we can have a better scalability and better performance, cheaper, and at the same time is simple. And
Wow.
but actually it's a trade-off. Since comparing with graph database, we gave up all like we don't have storage, and we also don't support high QPS transactional updates. We only support streaming. So
Hmm.
streaming is much easier than transactional updates, and we don't support ACID. So, but most people, this feature is not they want. They just want they already have data there, and or they already have well-built data stack there. So the data is from somewhere to some existing storage. We just modeling the data at the graph and query it.
I love that.
So yeah, so we sacrifice made some trade-off and sacrifice some feature actually user don't need and
That's
for this
rare.
kind of use case. Yeah, so this is
Yeah.
one of the advantage. So when after I explain this to our customer, usually they will get the point and say, oh, this is realistic. And after they try it, usually the performance is much better than they expected. So our first impression will be very good if people have time to try by themselves.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that. Like, I think founders out there that are building this type of heavy software, where we're talking about literally database queries or just hosting and infrastructure and all that, it's not easy. Like literally, it's a very difficult niche to be in because you have to be really good at software engineering to finally be different in the market because there's so many solutions out there. It's crazy, and just to puncture the market and to start having clients, it can be a huge challenge for founders, and you actually did it. Do you feel like there could be like maybe a secret to your success that you feel you're okay with sharing with other founders in similar niches? Like, how do you actually get into the market?
Since at the beginning we do outbound, but the result it looks not good. Since it's very hard to find people. Since the the tech lead or architect who have a problem to solve won't the post it everywhere, and then we can find, oh, we can solve your problem. So most of the time, the timing is not good, or they don't have a plan to do it. Especially last several years, a lot of engineer teams bandwidth is pretty tight. So after that, we changed it to inbound and highly dependent on the inbound traffic. So, I think almost more than 95% of our customer are inbound customer.
That's so
So
important. A lot of founders don't even know the difference between inbound and outbound. Uh, so this is quite difficult. And when you do start having some inbound, then you still have to have a conversion machine to try to get the MQLs into SQLs. And versus outbound, it's still difficult. Like you don't know which technologies to use, and your ideal customer profiles are completely niched out. Like you said, for example, data administrators use this type of software. So how do you get to reach them? It's almost impossible. That's why you switched, your play to inbound instead of outbound. So this pivot, do you feel like it was one of the sparks that made the success go on for the next few months?
yeah, at least for now, we think we find a correct way to do. Since every week there are several customers reaching out to us, and the lucky thing is that they already have the problem, and it's sometimes even well-defined project, and even have budget already, and the VP and architect already have a discussion about it, and then the architect looking for the solution on internet and find us. So in this case, the blocker will be much less than we do outbound. Since for outbound, we need to do very personal and customize the demo, and also we need to discuss with the customer what's their real pain point. But then it's hard to alignment on customer team. Since
Yeah.
maybe architect like it, but the on the business side, there is not a urgent product. So we can have good relations, but the product won't be quick steps. So
Yeah. I
currently we
think,
feel the inbound is the correct way to we are trying to do. But of course, lately, since this is changing and maybe we can collect more use case and then also do some outbound to the different customer. Since
yeah.
after our more use case, it's more straightforward to show the business value ROI to the customer leadership.
Yeah, the problem with outbound is the broad nature of outbound itself. Like the market demand is not necessarily always high in such niches. So, it's difficult to find out exactly who needs this solution right now. So that's like a huge challenge to scale versus if you're doing inbound, like intent driven, maybe Google ads or whatever, LinkedIn ads, or even content. Like you can literally create content on your website to attract, the people that want to get educated about the solutions that you're offering. So for them, it's easier to convert because the need actually exists if you retarget them properly. So yeah, I can imagine it was quite a pain in the beginning to finally, get the first clients through the door. That's ridiculous. And do you feel like you had an MVP when you started approaching investors, or was it just kind of already working and you just said to yourself, "Meh, we have a few paying clients, let's go get investors." Like, how did that happen?
For pre-seed, we already have our MVP and uh, show the basic functionality. It's very
Okay.
basic since we only support this 3 or 2 features.
Oh, really? It's so
Uh, but
simple.
yeah, it's very simple. Only 2 or 3 features. But it's a kind of proof of concept for the we believe the design works and compare to show some good performance on the existing data storage and it's for pre-seed. And after that, since we have Coinbase our design partner, and also eBay is also our design partner as well.
Wow.
And
That's
then
those are big names. It's huge
yeah,
names.
yeah, and then we collect a lot of very useful feedback. So it helps us to have a better design of the product. And
And I have a question here. A lot of founders watching this episode will probably ask themselves, how do you collect feedback the proper way from such big players without, you know, um, without fear of judgment of them thinking that you're like too new in the market, not ready, being not ready for the market? Like, what steps would you recommend to founders to collect feedback from the first, clients that you onboard?
yeah, I think one reason is that first is we're thankful for our design process at the time. Since uh, we're trying to offer everything that you guys don't need to write code, just we trying to implement everything, and you just give us feedback. And also, after we feel useful, they will recommend to some other brother teams, and then they can also bring some feedback from there as well. And for the feedback, usually we will discuss with them. But the lucky thing is that I think a lot of tech company follow the same philosophy and principle. So most of feature they propose to us is the necessary and very following the industry standard. So there is not a lot of weird feature requests, and only one customer will use. So most of them are the general request. If we implement it, and most other customer can use it as well. And also, we're trying to embed it in the ecosystem tightly. So and because in Silicon Valley, most of the companies share the same tech stack, and
Yeah.
and there are some common interface. So once we support the standard API, some other protocol, and different customer can use it at the same time. So
That's
I think
amazing. Yeah, and founders don't even think that way. Like if you integrate really deep into a range, like literally in a sub niche, such as graph queries for databases, like heavy enterprise databases, then you can work with clients in such precision that they would recommend these patterned features that other big players need to have. Like you can't even imagine as a founder that you will run into this, diamond cave, literally, where there's so much opportunity. It's crazy. And
Like,
do you feel like you were building from the get go to stay bootstrapped, or did you want to raise from the beginning?
at beginning, we don't have a very concrete plan about
Okay.
this, and yeah, since we just feel since all of us is our first time to do business, and we don't have a experience. We are good at engineer, but uh, don't have any experience of a business. We just feel this will be useful, and the lucky thing that at beginning we already have some users from different company try our product, and then we can have some feedback. And
Hmm.
also, the feedback is useful for investor as well, since they will talk with the customer to
Yeah.
see why this product is useful and what's the differentiator. And
And
another lucky thing is that
Mhm.
yeah, please.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm gonna ask my question after. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, yeah. Another lucky thing is that our head of marketing bring her old boss and as our advisor,
Mm.
and he was CFO in some big company, and later he was CEO for some startups. So he have a
Oh,
lot of experience and teach us
that helps.
yeah,
Yeah,
how
wow.
yeah, the business should be running. Yeah, so uh, report everything to him every week. So yeah, it helped us a lot.
Oh. And do you recommend to the founders that have this opportunity of, being close to these advisors from, big names, do you feel like they should also seek that type of guidance in the early stages? Or do you feel like they can just do it alone with maybe some left and right mentorship, like on the low? Like, what do you think about that?
Oh, I think definitely the earlier the better if you have some experienced coach teach you what to do. Since some of them is very specific for your project, but some of them is general, like when to find a lawyer and like when to find a accounting a partner, something like that, and this is some common practice, and you will never know until you talk with the experienced guy, or at least you read some book. And but I think it's much easier to have someone have the experience to help you. So I think the
Yeah.
earlier the better.
Do you feel like you've literally, took leaps and bounds, literally like light speeds ahead with someone that can guide you and just to make you avoid very common pitfalls just by adding someone like that in your team? And the other question, the follow up question to that is, should you give percentages to that type of role, or should they just stay kind of a mentor on the side? Like, how do you view that?
Yeah, definitely. We will give us some options, and this is mm, and also the guy must be have some trust. Like since our head of marketing work with our advisor for two previous company, so they have worked for a long time and have a very
Okay.
deep trust. And also since I know our head of marketing for a while, I'll be honestly, I trying to convince him to join
Earlier.
another private company earlier, but since
Mm.
she's working with our advisor at that time, so she refused immediately. But lately,
Nice.
because that the company was acquired by Databricks, so I
Oh.
immediately had the opportunity to
Oh,
invite her to
wow.
join our team. And also, She's a very professional and experienced in the marketing area, and especially for the startup. Since I learned that the marketing of big company and startup is very different. So I
Mhm.
think we have the right person to do the right thing. Yeah.
And I'm very curious to know, maybe to even extrapolate on what you just said. I think, you made it sound very small, yet it's huge. You said that the marketing difference is rather big between the small companies and the big ones. What are the biggest changes or the biggest differences that you see in marketing, like that you can share with the viewers?
Yes, it's first, the big company have a lot of budget for marketing, so they can allocate to different channels. But for our company, since we are very small and we need to have a very tight budget and can leverage some free resource. Since sometimes we can have some branding dep and rely on some of our partners and customers, and then the audience can know us without us to pay a lot of money. So this also very important. And also, we provide a lot of free content, and then the user can read the content and they feel useful, and also will have a trust in our product. This is also one of our strategy. I think this is I think these are very different from big companies. This big company can have some advertisement in different place, different channel. Also, even yeah, every time when they release some new product, it's a big news in the industry. But for us, it's when we release some new feature, no one care except our current user, right? Since
Right. It's
yeah,
very
since
niche, so it's literally a newsletter to everyone that's already there, right?
yeah. But the lucky thing that sometimes uh in the industry, a lot of people trying to uh make some trend happen, and we take the trend. So we together with some big company like Databricks, MongoDB, Confluent,
Those
and
huge.
also
Yeah.
Google BigQuery, and AWS, and we work together to make some noise of some trend. In this case, yeah, we can take the right. Of course, we contribute a lot since we need to be qualified for the trend, right? So, uh, but I think this help a lot. Since when I was at the Telegraph, is kind of like a isolated product, and barely some other big player as the partners. So it's pretty hard, take a lot of time to have us branding. So in this time, we're trying to collaborate with some more teams, and in uh, actively join the community. So make our good reputation and know by more developers. Yeah.
I can imagine that it must be extremely challenging, like literally, because for this type of niche, the close delay is probably anywhere between 3 to 6 months just to try to finally work with a partner. So it must be extremely challenging to even prove that the numbers are there and that they're worth the investment. But they are because you do already have huge names. But it's just it feels in the beginning like you're pushing a huge a huge block up a hill, and it's difficult. But eventually it becomes easier and easier as you stack up more big names and more numbers to prove that this is an amazing return on investment as a tech, from what I understand. And I'm very also curious, like, you mentioned that you raised the pre-seed. It's not very popularly displayed online. Like, do you mind sharing a little bit of numbers there? Like, how long did it take you to raise the pre-seed? Or maybe even when did you raise it?
This is an interesting story since Define invested in us, and at beginning one of the investor in their team reached out to us. because they looking for some Instacart guy. And one of our chief architect just left Instacart after IPO. So yeah,
Okay.
so we have a
Wow.
talk. And the investor roommate is an engineer, work at Google, and try our
Mm.
product. It was pretty cool.
Okay.
Literally he shared the news inside their team, and one of the team member was early engineer at Coinbase. And they
Okay.
have some good feedback, so it kind of they finished the DD without our help. So they
Hmm.
don't we even don't make an intro to our customer to them. So they
So
just
did
find it by themselves. So
wow. That was a fast track. No due diligence almost. I love that.
yeah, almost. But I think they do much more solid
Mm.
than most investor, since they try the product by themselves and they talk with the customer
Wow.
and objective. Since without let us know, so our customer uh, since we don't say to our customer that investor want to reach out, please say some good words. So before that, they already talk with them. So I think the result is more objective. So I think mm, I'm pretty amazing how was their ability as an investor. So
Amazing.
I think it's definitely a good choice for us as well. Yeah, since
And
at the beginning we don't have a plan to raise money
mm,
at that time, but we feel this is a very good experience, so we take their money.
do you feel like it's fair to say that you literally started this project because it was something cool?
Yes, yes. We think since when I was a child, I was thinking that since at that time, I think it's 30 years ago, and I think computer science is pretty good since a programmer can do anything by himself, and then a lot of people is using it. But lately, I think, oh, there's one single person. It's hard to make some impact project. But currently with AI, the story is coming back. Just maybe a single programmer can do some very cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think product very helpful and have a lot of user is very attractive to me. And also, uh, my teammates agree with it as well, and they want to have some software authored by ourselves and popular and used by a lot of customer and the
Yeah.
users.
I was curious because the biggest names out there were started because it was just cool. They weren't even trying to raise, or they didn't have any plan. They're like, let's build a tech that's just amazing, and that's it. Whatever happens, happens. And basically, that's what happened. Like you're at this point at Series A, sorry, at your seed round, and you raised a beautiful $5 million. So let's kind of skip into that moment of time. Um, was it also kind of accidental that I guess not, like it was not as accidental as the pre-seed, but the seed round, was it more like planned and there was tons of rejection and outreach to investors? Like how was that phase?
Oh, sorry, the story I just shared is for seed. Since for the pre-seed is even harder. And
Okay.
yeah, since pre-seed we only have two or three features, and
Ah,
also we are working with
okay.
Coinbase already, but I think most investors don't believe it. And
Okay.
I think that's the
Really?
problem. Yeah,
Wait
and
a second. When you say they don't believe it, what do you mean? Like you literally met them and you said, "Hey, I got Coinbase as as a client," and they just refuted you, or how did that happen?
since at that time is the POC just started, and we just frankly told them that it's a POC, not in production yet. So, but I think the problem is that they heard a lot of similar pitch,
Ah,
and since a lot of people have a lot of POC, and especially for the founders who have good connections, they can definitely find some
mm,
POC at the beginning. But I think the game changer is that it's really in production. So I think this is the
Mm.
uh deal breaker. And but I see it around. While for the investor is my old friend since I know him when I was at PuppyGraph, and also sometimes I provide some ideas for technology to him. And
Mm.
uh, I I think a third suggestion make him believe in my vision very much. Since one is a hugging face, and when hugging face is still selling emoji, and with almost zero revenue. And I recommend to him that the Hugging Face maybe pivot to the model serving company. And
For sure.
yeah, and also another is that the iceberg team, the tabular, and I think their team left Netflix to create a company. I said that this is super promising. And
Wow.
yeah, and I think these several things turn out to be a very valuable company. And I think then he believe uh, what my idea about the new trend of technology. So he
Oh,
invested in our pre-seed round, and it
did you
gave us.
did you say neutrino technology as in the subatomic particles?
Sorry.
Sorry, I thought I heard you say because you had an idea for neutrino technology. Is that what
Oh,
I
no,
heard?
no, no,
Okay,
no.
okay.
It's just the new trend. Since
Ah,
when that some trend happened, and I think, oh,
got it.
this may
A new
be very
trend.
valuable in the near future. Yeah.
My bad. Okay, understood. Yeah, it's because some engineers sometimes, they're also like physical engineers or so okay, my
Oh,
bad for the
I
confusion.
had.
But yeah, you definitely said new trends. Yeah, interesting. And was there any like rejection happening when you were meeting up investors that could also be pulled into the round, or was there just one that did the due diligence and he just went through the gates with the funding? Like, how did that happen?
Oh, I think based on my experience is it's more like it's never successful to convince people. So only when you find someone understand your technology very well by himself, and
Hmm.
you so which the investor really invests, you take not so much time. And for the investor who don't understand your technology at the beginning, even you have some follow-up meeting to explain what's the pinpoint and what's the differentiator, is still not very helpful. I think
Hmm.
usually the first meeting already show the results. Like at least investor talk with us. Even at the beginning, they didn't get the point, but they at least find something meaningful, and laterly they will think about it after the meeting, and then they realize something by themselves. In this case, it's a good signal, but when someone don't like your idea or didn't get your point, and even you follow up with them, is not helpful at all. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
And
so I think.
yeah, how many rejections approximately did you actually have like from investors? Was it like 100? Was it like 200 to finally
Not
close the round?
that much. Since
Mhm.
for the pre-seed, since for the seed round, you basically they reach out to us and pretty smooth. For the
Oh,
pre-seed round, I pitch with some people, and I think reject by about 20 investor,
okay.
and got 3 offers, something like that.
That's really small. Like usually, I'll tell you what. Like the founders that I've interviewed so far, the average is approximately 150 to like maybe
Wow.
200 rejections. Yeah, and so 20 is very small. in terms of rejections. So it means that you definitely were onto something, and you still are, and it's something that is super interesting for investors if you didn't have so many rejections. And plus the seed round, they literally reached out to you guys to invest. That's amazing.
I do some background check before I reach out to the investor. So
It's smart, yeah.
basically, I think they should understand what I'm saying and then reach out to them. So there will be a higher rate for get a response. Yes. Otherwise, if it's just a random cold email, it's a barely get a response. Yeah.
Agreed, agreed. And, for the founders that are watching this and they're wondering, how do you do your due diligence on investors? Like, what are the best tactics that you would recommend that you use to see if an investor could be a fit?
First, I will check the uh companies who's successful in the industry, and then usually you can find who invested in this company,
Mhm.
and I think if they understand the product several years ago, I think they can understand what I'm trying to do. Uh, since it's in the same industry, and because there is no secret in the database area, and almost every technology is published on some papers. So yeah, so
And
I think they
do
can
you feel that's
understand.
like Oops. Do you feel that's like super important to have an investor in your industry? Or I'm asking because, sometimes founders, they just take whatever money, like literally hush money, so that, or some call it actually dumb money, where the investors don't give any recommendations. They don't introduce you to anyone in a specific niche. Do you feel like it really matters who you're on board? Like, did you feel it made an impact?
I think it's super important since uh, you can have a lot of support if your investor and understand your space very well, and also because they talk with a lot of companies, and they can give you some insight, which is super helpful. For example, one of our investors suggests us to focusing on some industry, and lately we find out it's the correct answer. And also one of investor suggests us maybe you guys only can work with big companies. At the beginning, I doubt it, since I think any side company will like our product. But then uh lately I found, oh, is he's correct, and that's why he, yeah. And uh we have some big companies as a customer, and also some startups, but the startups customer are big companies.
Ah, okay, I see.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
is the key differentiator is that all customer have big data. If the data is small, we still have advantage, but the value proposition is not big enough. And only when the data is big, and is from improve margin improvement to 0-1 problem.
And
And
for
yeah.
for the founders out there that don't know how big can data get, like, could you give us, very simple visual kind of breakdowns of what is a big, client, like how much terabytes or whatever quadrobytes, how gigabytes do they have, versus, your average startup with like a small database with like maybe a gigabyte worth of data. Like, how big does it get?
I think based on our current experience, if the data is larger than 1 terabytes, is kind of a have to,
Okay.
and for
Yeah.
us. And if it's between 200 gigabytes to 1 terabytes, we can have our big marginal
Mhm.
improvement. And if less than 200 gigabytes, and some user just tell us we exactly know your uh, value proposition, but we want to start with some battle tested server software. In this case, I think we lost 2 deals for
Ah,
200 gigabytes.
okay.
But most people reaching out to us they already try other products and then reaching out to us.
Mm.
So in this case, usually they have big data. So if the data is small, we just make things so the if data is small, the performance scalability improvement is not that meaningful. And the only benefit is that we are simpler. But because this is small, even is more complicated, it won't take too long time to make it ready. But for very large data, since every moving of the data is very hard, so simple architect is also very important when the data is big. Yeah, but for smaller data, I hope in the future we can be like the people with smaller data can have more confidence in our product. Current stage, most customer have a big data.
Yeah, I think, that's the long tail of the market where most, businesses have way less than 200 gigabytes. But still, if the business focuses on, the terabyte data monsters out there, there's so much money to be made. There's just so many big corporations out there with these, e-commerce, finance, and all that. Just your own industry, it's huge. So I think your investor's
Mm.
probably right. Focus on the big ones first. Those are like the biggest wins with the biggest return on investment for the outreach cost versus the contract sizes. It's a complete win, hands down. And I'm also curious, when you started the company, did you think that it's gonna get to the stage at which it is right now, or did you think it was just gonna stay a little too like for yourselves? Like how did your vision change? How did your mindset change from the moment you started till today?
At beginning, I know it must be useful, but I don't know which industry should be our priority. And but lately, since based on the inbound, we know which industry need us most and how urgent project, which industry we can give them benefits, but it's a kind of a long term goal, and they need to have do some urgent project first, and then laterally have a long term plan with us. So in this case. Actually, our mind is changing all the time. Since uh, at the beginning, we since we all of us are just engineers and don't have experience in business, and we believe that it can be widely adopted and very useful in different industry. But we don't know how big it will be.
Super
But
huge.
now I
Yeah.
think we have some. Feeling that it can be, very good,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, like just I can imagine the healthcare industry, the record keeping there of just every patient out there. And if you want to really quickly solve huge database issues, because let's just agree on one thing, it's getting old. Their architectures, it was built back in the 90s, the databases, in healthcare and all that. So they need to be on par with the best tech right now. So that's like such a huge pool that you're trying to compete in with other big database names. And I'm also curious, like, do you mind sharing the biggest mistakes you feel like you've made with founders listening in since you started PuppyGraph?
I think I made some, we made some, mistake, and, we, developed some, useless feature. So at
Yeah,
beginning, we
useless
feel it's
features like what,
useful.
for example?
Yeah, like, integration with some, popular data source,
Hmm.
but, never being
Oh,
used.
okay.
And, yeah, and we believe it's useful, but, actually not.
Huh.
And also
But that's so
Uh,
counterintuitive. Like, you might think that a popular connector could be widely adopted, but at the end of the day, no one's using it. Like, why do you think that is?
yes, at the beginning, some customers make a request, but then we find out that they are not the real
Okay.
customer.
Oh my god,
They just
seriously?
they just want to do some exploration,
Ugh.
but and I also is because that uh the data is somewhere for a reason.
Mm.
Like if it's in, for example, in Databricks for a reason, if in Snowflake for a reason, if in MySQL for a reason, and if that reason don't match of our use case at all,
Mm.
and maybe users still want their graph, but laterly they may just write some simple SQL to implement their feature, and in that case, uh, some simple SQL is good enough for them,
Okay.
and
So it was not heavy
then they
users, I
definitely
guess, yeah.
yeah, and also so there are different
Mm.
situation, and I think we made some mistake, and but I think it's mainly blamed on me since at that time, since we don't have a long list of customer yet, so we don't have statistics for we don't have data for our customer, so we're trying to implement every request, and I feel that's useful, but the result turned out to be wrong.
Well, I feel like that's and thank you by the way for transparently sharing a mistake. It's not easy as a founder to talk about that, but I feel it's important to kind of bring it to the light because a lot of founders listening in, they're technical and they're investing a lot of time and resources on things that customers might never actually want. And the life of a startup when you raise, it's approximately like 18 months until the runway ends and it's the death of it if it's not raising more or if it's not profitable. So, if we shine the light on these type of mistakes that they can avoid, more startups could actually make it. They could actually survive. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it's uh, every week is very important.
Yeah.
This is yeah.
And since raising 5 million, what was the biggest mindset change that you had to make that you literally didn't have, 6 months ago or the 12 months before that? Like, what's the biggest impact it had on your mindset and managing the business?
Oh, one important I think is another mistake I made, and our head of marketing want to hire a professional designer to working on our website. Before that, I made one in GoDaddy by
Oh,
myself,
God.
and some customer just frankly told me that it's the product is much powerful than they expected because at the beginning they feel it's a college student project, and because the website is very shallow, and I think maybe we don't need to save money on the website. We should do it at the beginning, and then the progress can be much
That's
faster.
so important.
So, but at least
Yeah.
because the budget is very limited, I think maybe I can just do it by myself.
Mm.
But it's less than half hour, so it didn't take me a lot of time. But
But you
it
feel like
cannot
you
earn trust
lost.
to our
Yeah,
user.
you feel like you lost on important opportunities because of, I guess, the branding.
Yeah. I think this is very important, and some money can be saved, some money cannot be saved.
Well said.
Uh,
Well, you're bringing up a really good point. I think it's important to point out to the founders that don't know this. Like, I think 70% of founders know, but 30% might not, that your design is literally the salesperson. Like, when you're buying a car, usually you're buying it, number one, because it looks good, right? So it's the same with a car. Sorry, with a website. Like if the car is super ugly, there's no chances that it's gonna get sold. Versus if it's sleek, if it's sexy, if it looks good and it has the latest, features and design and all that, you might think there is some professionalism in here. They actually put in effort to chisel this. So this is also a common mistake, I guess, to under design the initial MVPs. But at the same time, it's a chicken and the egg thing, right? Like you first kind of need to have people using your solution, and then if it's actually validated by the market, maybe you can make it sexier.
Yeah,
That, that,
definitely.
that that's that's uh, that's a huge mistake that clients that I mean that founders make. That's impressive. And what do you feel that you've learned so far from investors, maybe from their advice? Did they share something with you that kind of influenced you in the right way?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we take some in like uh, what I say what the customer profile looks like, and they can have some prediction, and it's proved to be correct. So I think it's very helpful. Save us a lot of time.
Oh yeah, that's huge. And a lot of founders don't even know what's an ideal customer profile or an ICP. So definitely, this is something worth checking out. And do you feel like we didn't explore something that you wanted to really share, that you wanted to dive into?
I don't think so. Yeah, since I think we cover most.
Awesome. Absolutely, absolutely. And I definitely want to ask you this. If you could whisper one thing to yourself at day one of building your company, what would you say to yourself?
Mm, it will be a little harder than expected, but it's fine. It will be fine.
I love that. Yes, Weimo said, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. I really appreciate your time, and I'm very happy to see you succeed and grow. So I really appreciate all of the insight that you've shared in this podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this one. If you feel like you have some comments, things that you want to share, of course, also hit that like button and subscribe. All right. See you in the next one. Cheers.